Hello and welcome to the She Runs Strong podcast, powered by Coach Parry, with myself, Nikki Friedman, UK Athletics run coach, and Shona Hendricks, sports scientist and run coach too.
Hello, team.
Today we are doing a deep dive pod into all things about recovery, especially after a marathon and ultra. As we're just coming through race season at the moment and we're kind of in the thick of marathon season, it seemed like a good time to be discussing this. So first though, hey Shona, how are you doing and what have you been up to recently?
Oh, hi, Nikki, and hi everyone listening. I'm good. I have been quite busy, to be honest. It's been quite a little bit of fun and games, and not so much just work and training. To be honest, it's a little bit of travel, going, some music festivals, some beach time,
Nice.
and so yeah, it's I've been having some fun, to be honest. Do need to get cracking a little bit again when it comes to some training, but yeah, generally having some fun.
So this is you enjoying your down period after the Two Oceans Marathon that you did, which was start of
April.
April. Yes, so
Yeah,
that's quite a long time. So how's
exactly.
recovery been going?
So good. So good. I've been having
Sounds like very good.
yeah, maybe a bit too long, to be fair. But no, definitely good. And I recovered quite well afterwards as well. I wasn't sore for very long, to be honest. But I took 2 full weeks off running. That was the plan, was 2 full weeks off. It landed up being 3, just because of life. And and we'll dive into some of that in this pod as well. But yeah, it was actually, it's just been so refreshing, to not always think about. I love running,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
always think about it and to go run if I want to and I feel like it. So, but the recovery's gone well, and now I've had a bit of fun, and now it's probably time to get focused again, for sure, Nikki. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, today we're going to talk about recovery and just go through kind of all things over the course of a month after your kind of marathon and how to recover, or your ultra. It could be a long ultra as well. So I mean, this applies to most things. 5 and 10K is not so much, but marathons certainly. So
They're a little more forgiving, for sure. But I think, and you just mentioned in the intro, Nikki, it being marathon season, and we see this so often, is that and probably very often between, because there's so many marathons, and especially people going for the majors, and so then, oh gosh, I'm running London and Boston, and those are a
yes,
week apart, and some people feel like that's okay, and so that's why we really just wanted to kind of
yeah,
dive
yeah.
into this, like what is feasible, is that a good idea, how do you tackle something like that, how do we do all this recovery, and so yeah, so that's what we're going to dive into. But
Yeah, definitely. Because some folks just feel that they're good to go really quite soon afterwards, and 5 days, and they're kind of like, "Oh, I think I'm okay. I think I need a plan." But actually, here's why you shouldn't really, and here's, you know, this deep dive is going to explain why it's important to have that rest and recovery. Because definitely, I've seen with runners that I've coached is that if they do pop in those cheeky runs and those cheeky bits of training, 3 or 4 weeks later, we're then paying the price for that. So,
exactly. And I
yes.
think I always feel, if people understand the why, so we say to them, you need to take 2 weeks off after a marathon. It's like you're taking away candy or sweets from a
Yes.
child. So if you understand why, and that's what we're going to go into, what happens during a marathon, and so maybe Nikki, if you can, start us off with that. Like, let's dive into what actually is happening to you while when you are running a marathon.
Yep. So when you've kind of targeted a marathon and you've spent many months and weeks targeting that marathon, it's a massive challenge on the day. Physiologically and psychologically, mentally, it's a really tough challenge. You put everything into it. And often you put some big, scary goals out there that you really want. Most people are wanting to get a big PB or a PR if you're Americans, but you're wanting to get that goal time. And you've put a lot of time and investment into it. And chances are your whole family know that too, because you have been working super hard towards that marathon. And and then you run the marathon on the day, and it's a huge physiological
Mm.
demand on your body. It stresses your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, and your muscular system, as well as the mental system. You often find, sometimes with runners, I find often they're more mentally fatigued than anything else because the sheer training
Yes.
loading over the many weeks, and then the actual race on race day is just a huge amount of mental stress too.
Yeah.
So there's a huge amount of fatigue there in the whole of the body at a very deep cellular level internally within your body, as well as the mental challenge as well. So
Yes. No,
if you
sorry. I
break
was going to. Sorry, Nikki. I was just going to say. I think the mental side of it, just talking about now post Two Oceans for me as an example,
yes,
it's been quite refreshing to not have to be so structured.
yes,
And I don't think and even A type personalities are
yes.
could do with relaxing in that structure a little bit, and that's why I think you're completely correct that mental fatigue is obviously huge, aside from the cellular levels kind of fatigue for sure. Mm.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, if we break down the training cycle a little bit more, you will have spent many weeks. Most people come in with a bit of a base and then
Mm.
come for a 12-week training program. That's generally the sort of standard. And will have seen lots of adaptations in your cardiac systems, your lung respiratory functions, your skeletal muscular system as well. Everything will have adapted, progressed, and become stronger, and your strength training as well. You'll just have built that runner's body through weeks and months of running and training. And your body just overall is just going to need that just deload
Mm.
completely to sort of really let it. And we've tapered, so we've let the body rest and recover, but we've then finished with that marathon on the day, and it's just been like that huge 100% effort that you've given it all the nerves of race week, all the nerves of
Mm.
tapering, sorry, and then going in, running hard. Often marathons are on tarmac. It's unforgiving. It's hard on your body. You've just got these micro tears in your muscles, things like your kidneys, your liver, all these little well, they're not little internal organs, all your vital internal organs have all had a huge stress on them. Maybe they've been slightly dehydrated, lost electrolyte,
Mm.
it's just going to be a huge stress on your body. So it's massively broken down your body one way or another. So now is the time to rest up, and just take some time out, and really really rest and recover. So, because everything has hinged on that day.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing with training though. So like before we get into the actual race and what happens physiologically from that perspective, people, of course, running's good, training's good, doing strength training is good for you, but I think people just keep reminding yourself that when you're training, you're actually breaking the body down.
Yes.
You're not getting stronger
Mhm.
during training. You're not. As you've mentioned, micro tears in the muscles. There's systemic failure. The immune system drops when we're training hard. The body breaks down. So training is yeah, it's not a positive effect. It's a stress on the body.
Yep.
And so during the cycle, there is a lot of this impact in your training cycles, even before the race. And we're going to touch on the race now. But yeah, just if we just keep reminding ourselves that we only get fitter and stronger during our recovery, and that's why we build our plans the way we do in terms of building and recovering, and then obviously, as you mentioned, with the taper as well. And then so even if you're someone who hasn't done that well enough, if you've pushed your body beyond limits and really not necessarily all the way to overtraining, but even just overreaching beyond what you should have,
Yeah, slightly.
and
Yeah,
you have your marathon, and you need even more recovery after your marathon
definitely.
alone. So and we see that so often, Nikki, where people have absolutely killed themselves in the training block because they haven't taken enough recovery during. They've run and hopefully run well. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and then straight back into it, because now if they haven't run well, they're like, oh well, I've got to get back to training, as opposed to
Yeah,
really
it's a sort of like
realizing the impact that training has on your body. So
yeah, I
um
think that's really key point. Either way, you need the rest and recovery to
yeah.
recoup again and go. The stresses that you have on your system and during the race and the weeks after, really, we have a wee list here of them. But if we were just to sort of touch on them a wee bit, you're going to have reduced lung function, acute kidney damage, and electrolyte imbalance, gastrointestinal symptoms. And now that often people get that during the race and
Yes.
after, but that can last for a wee while. running related musculoskeletal injuries. So that's obviously your sore knees or hips or
Mm,
backs, and that can be really common.
mm,
Acute inflammatory responses throughout the body. So that's just your whole body just inflamed from that loading on concrete for hours during the marathon. Often you're immune suppressed as well. It just affects your immune system, which is really very common. We see runners get
yep.
colds and coughs and stuff, even cold sores or anything like that afterwards. So that's a big one.
Yes.
Your cardio system stressed. I think we've said respiratory, yeah, the lungs and the muscular. So the muscular system again, which is what we talked about there, was all the micro tears and damage throughout, and then the mental exhaustion. So some of these damages can be kind of okay again after about 1 to 3 days. They can normalize, but really you're looking quite long term for these to all really completely
Mm,
normalize.
mm. Yeah.
Really, did I miss any there, Shona?
No, no, no. I think you're spot on. I just, we went through the list, and I maybe just want to highlight
Oh
one or
yes,
one or two that stand out for me.
yes,
That one is more important or worse than the other necessarily. But I have a friend who is studying medicine. She's also a very good runner. Has done a couple of comrades marathons, and so that that's crazy 90-kilometer race here in South
yes,
Africa. But and she did a function. She did a module on like kidney health and that sort of area of general surgery or general sort of medicine. And she came back and she was like, "Shona, I can't believe how bad running can be for your kidneys."
yeah,
Uh, you said there acute kidney damage, and especially with like some electrolyte balance, but your kidneys also constantly have these micro traumas that happen to them during, because
mm,
that's really, sorting out your hydration, and when we're running, we're putting that under so much more pressure. And that's just to, I mean, I know this isn't the topic of the conversation, but this
mm,
is why we are really against people taking anti-inflammatories during your races, because
yep,
your kidneys are working so hard as it is already,
yep,
and then
yep,
the anti-inflammatories just make that they vasoconstrict those arteries and
yeah,
vessels. And so, when she came and told me about that, I was like, yes, running's good, but again, in moderation. And if we're not recovering properly, we're doing, micro traumas to our kidneys. And so I'm not saying that running's bad. Like, let me just make this
yeah,
clear. But it's about how we recover afterwards and give ourselves, that recovery to
yeah.
to really ensure.
I mean, the body is an amazing thing. It will recover if it given the chance, and the
Yeah.
kidneys certainly regenerate and recover really, really well.
Mm.
It's not uncommon, I think. I believe runners, I know I've heard of runners who have run marathons and had drops of blood in their urine
Yeah.
afterwards,
That was
just
going to be the
showing,
second one I mentioned. Yeah.
yeah, just showing that the kidneys are stressed. And I think a drop of blood can feel quite scary. It can go a long way in your urine, and you can think, oh my goodness, but actually, that's just the little trauma of the marathon.
The marathon. And so I've actually read it quite a bit, and I've had one of the work when I was working with one of the elite athletes, when Lindsay was coaching some of them in the Comrades Marathon elite athletes, and she had blood in her stool quite often after hard
Mm,
training
right.
sessions and hard training blocks. And again, so the lining of your intestines is taking strain, and this is these things are all, and you are so right, the body is amazing. It's going to recover, but it's not going to
Yes.
recover if you don't give it the opportunity to. So yeah, again, we're not fear mongering here, not trying to make you scared. I think that the key here is just that often when you understand what's happening, you will then do the right thing afterwards to ensure that your body is getting that kind of recovery.
Yeah, I think it is just really key. So let's break it down a little bit then, and just break it down into sort of phases. So on the day directly after a marathon. So, well, I don't know about you, but often everybody wants to go to the pub afterwards.
Before we jump into on the day, can I just maybe
Oh
like
yeah.
say that even before the day, I think a key thing is plan your year first. Okay,
Yes.
so before
Yes.
before your actual race day, the elite marathoners, so the Kipchogis of the world, and the Safan Hassans of the world are running 1 to 2 marathons a year, racing 1 to 2 marathons a year, and then taking 4 to 6 weeks off.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what makes us think that we can need less recovery and we can race more when they already recover and much better than we do? And so, I see that often. where again, it's marathon season and it's world majors, and you want to get those 6-star or 7-star now, and I get that, but it's we can't race too much. If we're racing too much, we're going to be putting ourselves at risk. And so I think plan your season so that you don't then get like a rabbit or like a squirrel and be like, oh, there's a race next week, I'm going to go and run it. So you have your season planned, and so you really are just ensuring that you are working your recovery through that year.
I think that's really good advice. I mean, there are those who just kind of go and run marathons back to back. They're not so worried about the times, but I think if you're really focused
Yes,
on getting those times and getting your 100% effort,
yes,
then
yes. I think there's an absolute difference between racing marathons and perhaps now, in South Africa anyways, coming from a comrades marathon history and tradition and culture, South Africans use a marathon as a stepping stone to comrades, and it drives me mad because I love the marathon distance. But again, the messaging and the idea of those are training marathons for comrades ultra, ultra marathon. It's not that you're racing a marathon every 6 weeks or 8 weeks. You're using that as a training run, and yeah. But again, so there is a difference between racing marathons and perhaps someone like Jackie Millis, who we had on the podcast, who's done over 200 marathons, and those are very different aspects. But still, I think whether you're running on either end of that, you still have to plan your year. You can't go out and run, every week or run a marathon every week. But yeah, sorry, and I interrupted your. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
More success if you plan. Okay, so
yes,
let's talk about after then. So you've run your marathon, and on the day, a lot of us do like to go to the pub to have a celebratory beer.
Yes.
But before you do that, if you can get a bit of some more water-based hydration.
Yeah, not necessarily the barley and hops hydration. Yeah, more the really good carbohydrates to refuel the glycogen stores. Yeah.
Yep, the water and electrolytes, then that will pay more dividends to how you're going to feel the next day. There's no question, for a day or two after the marathon, you're going to be sore, it's going to hurt, and there's not much you can do about that really, except try and eat something when you feel like you can. I've never really felt I could eat anything after a marathon, and a couple of times it's come back up again anyway.
But then at least something to try and replenish those glycogen stores. So even if it's liquid, then so if it's like a Gatorade or a chocolate milk, or I struggle with the chocolate milks after marathons. But yes, just something to
definitely. A bit of movement is good as well. I have a tendency to sit down and collapse, but after you've done that a little bit, if you can just move around and just slowly move your legs and your body, then that helps a little bit just to ease things off as well. So that's quite good.
If you want to recover from sessions faster, not feel tired all the time, run pain and injury free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join me in my upcoming training specifically for female runners over the age of 45. In it, I'll share with you my simple 5-step framework that will transform your running. Simply scan the QR code on screen now, or click on the link in the description to save your seats in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there.
Ice baths and cold baths, I wouldn't be such a big fan of that. I know some people quite like it, but I'm not so sure. For me, I wouldn't mind getting in a swimming pool, something more sort of lukewarm. That feels more comfortable to me. I prefer something like that. I'm also a big fan of compression sleeves as well. I quite like to put on calf guards. I find that works quite nicely too. So I do tend to hydrate and try and eat afterwards. I never go near the massage tents, and I don't understand people who go for these straight away after. You see it all the time in London. A lot of people have these massage tents and people go in and have a massage. I would advise against doing that. I think your body is under stress. Your muscles have had a beating, quite frankly, and the last thing they need is to be pummeled as well. So I would avoid getting a massage. Certainly don't pay for one. It's a complete waste of money. But, avoid that. And so I wouldn't recommend doing something like that. And then finally, sleep. It's going to be difficult to sleep after a marathon, but if you can get a bit of get a bit of a snooze maybe, or you can sleep
Mm,
later on, but you're gonna have restless and twitchy legs, so
absolutely.
there's not much to be done. So, I mean, in the end of the day, you've gotta enjoy, take photos with your medals and enjoy the day and perhaps have a beer, but try and do some of those things to help a bit with recovery on the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, absolutely. Just interestingly with the talk of beer, there's one study that I've read again, so I'm trying not to cherry pick my research here, but it speaks of post race, and I think it was half marathon. I don't think it was marathon. That if you having one like light or low alcohol beer actually
Yep,
helps with sort of I wouldn't say restocking, but refueling those glycogen stores, and didn't have an effect on the dehydration aspect because alcohol obviously dehydrates. But then it was 2+ beers is where the dehydration then starts to take effect again from the alcohol. So
okay.
it's
So
saying
you've got
one
to learn to
maybe
say no then.
alcohol. But yeah, I mean, I'm not one to talk. I think that's just the thing is that you are going to be dehydrated after the race. Alcohol
Mm,
is a diuretic as well, and it is going to dehydrate you. So if you're having beers and enjoying and celebrating, just try and take in a glass of water with every beer, perhaps as well, just to try and manage that out a little bit as well. So.
yeah,
Um,
I definitely think that's the key.
so we do this because we love it and we having fun. But like Nikki says, I think just try and do one or two of the really good things to just help you along the way
Yeah,
before having the celebrations. Yeah.
definitely. So days
Yeah, and
1
then
to
Nikki, after that, after race day, so day 1 to 3 post race,
yeah.
your sort of advice from there.
So the same again, try and do some light activity. Maybe that's a little bit of walking around. Maybe that's just floating in a swimming pool. But just some things to sort of mobilize as opposed to exercise your body and
Yes.
just keep things moving, and you'll feel a little bit better. There's no question. For me, it's always day 2 that I feel really quite stiff and bad.
Mm,
Day 1, tends to still have the endorphins floating around, but then on day 2, I think that's often where you kind of go, "Whoa," and it's really, tough on your legs. So
yes.
try and keep things mobilized, try and keep moving, and if you can float around in a swimming pool, then that's a really good thing.
I think
Um,
before you go, I think the nice thing. I mean, I know you do this as well. Is destination marathons are one of my
yes,
favorite things to do, and so that's always nice with day 1 or day 2 afterwards. You in another country, that's when you can then go and travel or walk around and sightsee, and
yeah,
because then you're going to keep moving. And I mean, day 1 post marathon, marathon what the medal Monday, it is again just
yes,
it's another
and it's
added.
great fun meeting people and chatting,
Exactly.
and yes,
Such an extra part of a marathon that no one really speaks about, and so it was, my first marathon. That was such a nice surprise so get out there and walk around and see all the other people. Well, you'll definitely spot them because they'll be hobbling. I remember in New York and London, like trying to get onto the tube or the subway, and everyone's walking down backwards, and so it's just it's a bit of camaraderie, and but it helps you to get out and keep moving. I think that's the point there is that your legs are going to be sore, but a little bit of walking and some movements isn't it's going to be good for it.
gonna
So
help. Yep.
yeah,
I mean, it's that sort of thing, and then it's like looking at that nice amount of hydration. Try and
yeah,
keep hydrated. Try and eat well if you can, and try get some extra rest. Maybe an afternoon snooze as well
yeah.
would be great. I've got in my list here things of meds. Now, I'm not really sure whether you should take paracetamol, Nurofen, things like that particularly. Some people might, but I'm not sure it's a great thing. Your better thing is just to let your body heal and
Yeah.
do what it does best, really.
Definitely, Nikki. I think, so the anti-inflammatory side of that, so whether that's the Nurophens and so on, I would say at least for the first 24 to 48 hours, allow your body to go through its own natural anti-inflammatory process.
Yeah,
The body's going to do that. You and I were just talking, about how adaptable the body is, and that's the key thing. So we will give our body the chance to do that. Whereas if we're keeping taking those anti-inflammatories, you're not allowing your body its natural process. Of course, if there's an injury or something from the marathon, please, that's a slightly different. Well, it's not a
yeah,
different topic. I'd still say don't take the anti-inflammatories, but well, for the first 24 to 48 hours, give your body the chance to repair itself, but using
yeah.
sleep and nutrition to help it, as you've mentioned, and a little bit
Yeah,
of movement.
absolutely. I mean, we're talking up to day 3 here, and so, you will feel sore, but if there is something, and I still wouldn't do a massage at this stage or anything like that particularly. Compressive clothing, if you find it useful, I've always used that. I find it really useful. if you have had something, a sore hip, a sore knee, or something,
Mhm.
then possibly consider booking a physio appointment at this stage just to make sure that if something has been niggling throughout and then really got much worse at the marathon, then it's time to address it properly. And given that you're in rest period, it's time to go to a physio, find out what's wrong, and get that rebuilt. So over that sort of week is a good time. And a physio is different from a masseur, really. You know,
Yes.
they will really give you that rehab and what you need to strengthen. So
Mm,
um, getting a massage comes later on possibly,
mm.
but booking that physio and getting the niggles sorted is a great thing to do at this particular part.
Yeah,
What yeah,
yep.
um,
Yeah, I think so, sorry, if you want to go on to like the next yeah, so that's day 1 to day 3. Yeah, they I mean, so in this point I would say, I mean, no running, so
yes,
that's a key thing for me. I
that's
mean,
your golden rule, isn't it?
mine's just very at least 1 week off
Yeah.
running. That doesn't mean that you can't do anything. You're walking, you're floating
Mm.
around in a pool, you're moving. And then generally, and we can touch on this as we go a little bit deeper here quickly, but around, I would say start doing something whether it's like light cycling or light swimming and maybe light strength when you're no longer stiff and sore. Okay, so that's a key thing for me. If you're still sore, that's Nikki's point. So then you need to go to the physio, like there's something up. But yeah, that's just the general rule of thumb. Ideally, I'd like it if my runners don't run for 2 weeks after a marathon. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the next breakdown I've got really is that first 2 weeks, and I'm the sort of same. I try and hold back.
Mm.
Some athletes are quite hard to hold back, and you just know they're gonna run anyway, so then it's easier just to give them a smaller run than actually, um,
Yeah,
try
control
and
like a
take it away
controlled
from it.
smaller run
Yes,
as opposed
yes.
to entire
Hopefully,
plan.
they're not listening to this and realize that that's what we're doing
No, no,
actually.
they know exactly who they are. This is the thing. They
No,
know exactly who they are.
that's it. It's like, if you must run, just only this and this
Yeah.
amount. So the first 2 weeks is gonna be the same. It's just a focus, and some people find, though, they kind of there is such a thing as the marathon blues, and
Mm,
just getting that low, and because what you've had is this training cycle where you have been training, you've been running, you've been strength training, and now that's taken away, and it's like this drug has been taken away. And then so you get that sort of withdrawal symptoms almost. And so in the first couple of weeks, that can take effect. So you seem to have really enjoyed from the Two Oceans Marathon is your recovery, and you seem to have had a great time. And I think that's the key in the couple of weeks afterwards is to plan some things that aren't running and sports related. That, catching up with family, away with friends for a weekend, or do something that is so different that takes your focus away and you can just relax and enjoy yourself and kick back while focusing on some extra sleep, that
yeah.
hydration, nutrition. Maybe in the second week's a good time to get a massage just to iron out any tightness that's still there. Um, Maybe you wanna do some light yoga, some light
Yeah.
swimming, and just do that sort of cross training just so that you're easing your body back into it. And, I have said here, do some light exercise. You will start to feel good for that.
Mm.
Do look around for some other goals as well. Sometimes it's nice to start thinking about what you might do next, but just, don't plow straight back.
Straight back in. I think that's the key thing. And see, I can sometimes be at risk of recovering for too long. I mean, I'm not saying that,
You
but
yes.
not necessarily jumping straight back into focused training as perhaps as quickly as I'd like. I mean, it's 6 weeks or so later, and I'm training, but I'm just not as structured. But that's just yeah. So there is, and I know that's why some people are scared to recover because they're scared they lose that routine.
Mm,
For me, I find it's a nice break from the routine. The putting your clothes out at night, the getting up early, so I like and I enjoy that break. And I'm also the sort of person, and I don't know if there's anyone else out there like me, but I don't like to restrict myself. So then when I'm training hard, I feel like I'm missing out on all the fun. So now that's why I'm allowing myself to have all the fun now so that I can, then be
right.
focused later on. So just almost balancing that out a little bit. But I think your point is key as well around, family and friends and sacrifices that you made during your marathon training. I mean, I'm part of a wine club, and one of the girls in the wine club that never lets me let it down that I'm a runner. She, and then when I'm training hard, she gives me a lot of gas about it, a lot of banter. But exactly, you're sacrificing a lot of time with your friends and family, and so it's a nice time then afterwards to just put that back a little bit. I think running can be quite a selfish sport at times, so to just give back to family and friends is really, really good.
It is.
But yeah, so and then easing back into it. I think, Nikki, like you're saying, you mentioned doing some movements and some exercise and yoga
Yeah.
and so on. I think that is quite key. But then coming back into running, easing back into it. How would you
Yeah.
advise
So
people
after
to do?
2 weeks, I would look to pick back up if you're keen and want to and have finished all your partying. If you want to kind of start getting a routine in place, then that's the time to do it. And I would come back quite gently for 2 weeks doing that. In terms of strength, I would almost just go to the gym and just lift quite light weights, but remind your body that it can do this and what the movement patterns are and what you like to do. And for a couple of weeks, I wouldn't do anything too heavy. I would
Yep.
just lift a little bit. And then the same with running. I wouldn't do anything too high intensity. I would just do some nice, easy running, perhaps pick some of your favorite routes, but I would try and get back to a rhythm of running again. If you were running kind of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, then I would get back to that rhythm again. And I would do that for at least a couple of weeks, up to about 4 weeks, and just ease back in. And it really depends. I mean, there are quite a lot of variables that can affect your recovery. Just, how well trained you were beforehand, how conditioned you were beforehand, how an experienced a marathon runner you are. It can make quite a difference. How hard you trained. Did you overtrain coming into the marathon? Because if you overtrained, you might find actually you're needing a lot longer to recover.
Absolutely.
What's been quite interesting, I had 3 runners, I had actually more than that, running London Marathon, but 2 weeks later, 2 of them ran 5Ks, one of them ran a marathon. The marathon didn't go so well for one of them, which you'd
Super
expect,
sector, you'd
and
expect,
the other 2 ran very fast 5Ks. And they were highly conditioned
Mm.
and quite experienced marathon runners. They're fast. And they ran really good 5Ks for them. One of them PB'd and one of them matched their PB. So, but that's down to their sort of conditioning and just that they are very experienced and they could sort of do a shorter, faster run. But then when it came to longer runs, it was harder. So you want to just be careful about that racing. But also sometimes I always find when you do the spring marathons, it's quite nice to have banked that fitness and that base training from the marathons to then have a bit of fun with some fun races
In
over
the
the
summer.
summer as well. So just depending on where you are, and you need to be quite honest with where you are, how your body feels, how long you need to take to come back. Are you feeling good? Are you ready to go? If you do run a 5K and it's a bit pants, you're rubbish, then don't worry about it. Maybe 2 weeks later, you'll bounce back a little bit more at that particular point, but not to get too sort of stressed at this sort of stage with it. And of course, quite a lot of runners get ill afterwards as well, so
Yep.
you need to take a bit of time off for that, or niggles as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Yeah, it's just you say listening to your body. The problem with runners, well, there's 2 things. That's my general one of my issues with the running culture is this that glorified, because I'm sore and I train through it, and I absolutely hate that part of running culture of glorifying my pain and glorifying how hurt I am. And so if you are going to listen to your body, you really need to be honest about it, like you say. And if you come back a week or 2 later and you do have a shoddy 5K run, be honest with yourself and go, maybe I do need a couple more days recovery
Yeah.
still. I have far more respect for a runner that's able to make that decision and become a better runner as a result of that than power through because it's it's a glorified like nice little badge of honor. And I think so. That's the thing. Just really be honest about that, and that's kind of why I like that golden rule, because I'm just like, at the very least, 1 whole week off. So
Yeah.
that's the rule. Like, I don't care how you're feeling, even if you're feeling good. I mean, I remember after London last year when I ran, I wasn't too sore. I actually felt 100% on the Tuesday,
Yes.
like neck burn sore. was around. I probably felt like I could have gone for a run on the Wednesday. But again, my general rule is no running for at least a week, so then I
Yeah.
didn't run. And again, because, even though you feel, that you're okay, I still think that your body, those little micro tears, those micro traumas to the organs, just give your body that time. So yeah, if you can't be honest with yourself, then set a hard and fast rule. But yeah, I think just try and be honest and really see the potential of getting injured or hurt, but also the potential of becoming a better runner by taking this recovery. I think that's also
Well,
quite
that's
key.
it. I think a lot of people are scared of losing their fitness, though. That's
Yeah,
the thing. And so, but it should stay with you. You don't lose your fitness quite that quickly.
exactly.
And if you give yourself decent recovery, then it'll be good. What's your thoughts, Shona, with people who run ultras, on more like trail ultras and stuff? What do you think? Do you think they still need, because there's a bit of walking there and stuff?
Yeah, lots of walking. Depends though, Nikki. If they are very hilly, most of the ultras are very often, a lot of them are trail, so they are softer sort of grounds and so on, but they're normally hilly. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of muscle damage that happens there, because if you're climbing, obviously the muscles are contracting, and so there is quite a bit of muscle damage, and especially on the downs,
Mm.
you will have more muscle tears, microfiber tears, than you would on a on a very hilly uphill ultra. I yes, there's lots more walking. Yes, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to say that one is easier or one is better recovery than the other, solely because ultras are ultras, and so
Yes.
you're doing double the distance, double the time on feet, double the damage. Not double the damage. That's not the right scientific thing to say, but it's extended time out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Nikki, and interestingly, I read Ryan Sands's book. I mean, he's a phenomenal ultra runner,
Okay.
from South Africa, and he's won a couple of, obviously, like the stage races and so on. And there's a South African trail run called the Otter Trail. It's a hike normally, but they do a trail run as well. It's 42 Ks. He's won it a couple times, and then he did it for charity with some of our famous sports people. And so he ran at the back with them, for the whole
More
thing. And
time on feet.
he said, I have a newfound respect for the back of the pack runners, because he was exhausted. Of course, he's running much faster when he's winning,
Yes.
but the time on his feet, he was very sore afterwards. And so again, I think that time on feet. Yeah, I don't think that one is the marathons or ultras better. But yeah, I just think I think that the damage is still there, and yeah, I do think that with ultras you do need a lot of
Yeah.
recovery. Yeah.
I think in this day and age as well is a lot of people are doing marathons and ultras now. And like you say in South Africa, it's almost becoming a sort of norm. So people are, it always needs that respect for the fact that it is a stress, a long distance on your body, and it affects everything, mentally and physiologically in your body. And you
Absolutely.
just need to listen and
Yeah.
tune in and really listen to what your body is telling you, and let yourself recover. It's just really key, I think, in this. I mean, there's other variables as well that can
Yeah.
affect. On London this year, it was quite hot. That can lead to more dehydration,
Yeah.
people getting more ill. It was just much harder. So I think a lot of people really suffered.
Mm.
Um, and it's just, but you just need, I mean, I think the things here are just the takeaways. You just need to rebuild your energy reserves throughout the body and
Yeah,
really,
and sorry, rebuild those energy reserves, but also give the body time to heal from the micro
yeah,
damages that were done. So, as we've mentioned, training and racing, uh, it breaks the body down, and so you need to give the
yeah.
body time to recover. The body's human physiology astounds me. I love it. It's such a
Mm,
nerd science moment, but um, the way it adapts is phenomenal. So we break it down, and then if you give it time and the right sort of ingredients, almost, then it's going to make itself stronger. And feel better. But if you don't give it that time, you're just going to
yeah.
keep breaking down. So yeah, so Nikki, I love that as a point. Yeah, rebuilding the energy reserves, but really just allowing the body to rebuild itself, from a cellular level, as well.
Build yourself back
Yeah.
up again. Yeah, yeah, and just enjoy like you are. Sounds like you've had a great time since Two Oceans Marathon.
I really need to get. I do need to get back on it, and I mean, I'm training. I'm just not
Yes, because
super
you have
focused at the moment. But yes, I've got Valencia in December, and
Valencia.
again, it's enough time. Um, but yeah, the partying doesn't always go hand in hand with a structured training plan. So but
Yes.
I am the sort of person who goes all in on everything. So now I'll come out of the all in on the fun times and go back all in on a training plan.
That's
But I feel
excellent.
recovered. I feel good. I'm not injured. I think those are all the key things that you want coming out of a big race
Yeah,
for sure, going into your next block for sure.
definitely.
Yeah,
That's good. Right. Well,
good.
I think we've covered everything there. Anything else we need to touch on? I don't think so.
I think yeah, Nikki, I think thank you. This is I love this chat. This was really really good. I think just be honest with yourselves. Plan your seasons, and just really really think about the recovery and yeah, the reason it's there. We're not saying it to take away your fun. We're saying it because it's
Yeah.
there's actual physiological evidence for it. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you, Shona. Well, if you have any good recovery strategies, do pop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear about them. Otherwise, that's us for today. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Cheers.
See you all
Bye.
again soon. Bye.